All right, guys, and welcome back to the Grassroots Pod. Today, I have a very special guest with me, close friend, Scissortail Shirts, Gage. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Good to be on. But thanks for having me.
So today, we're going to be previewing just a short little one for the U.S. Open Cup match. I'll put this out today on St. Patty's Day. Kind of a bad omen. I guess I got green in the background there, so I'll take that. Maybe
We
you
got a
could.
light one here. That'll
There you
work.
go. Yeah, you pass. My last name's Connell. I should have a little more green. But tomorrow, March 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern, is Little Rock in the Eastern time zone, or are they still kind of that 2 hours ahead of the West Coast?
They're still central, so it'll be 7 o'clock central for both us and Little Rock.
Gotcha. So yeah, Little Rock Rangers hosting FC Tulsa. Really looking forward to this one. It's one of the few matches with a pro team, especially one in the championship, traveling to a smaller team, a USL2, a semi-pro team. 4 hour drive, which I believe you will be making, correct?
Yep, we will. And I think there's a fair few of us going. I've heard somewhere in the 20 to 30 range. So
And that's why I love FC Tulsa. I mean, some of the best fans. I mean, it's a Wednesday weekday game. Y'all got work, all this stuff, but you somehow make it work to get people down there. 4 hour drive, nothing to scoff at. So starting off though with Little Rock. So Little Rock Rangers, USL2, obviously. Tulsa's USL Championship, the Western Conference champs. Let's not forget that. But to start with Little Rock, first off, one of my favorite crests or like badges I've ever seen with the deer and stuff like just a really cool. I always like when a lot of these semi-pro teams just don't mail it in. There's a lot of good teams with bad branding. So I can appreciate that. The one thing, and this goes for all USL2 teams, this team is going to look a lot different than it did, and it will, because USL2 is so focused. It's basically a college summer league, and college players are not available right now because they're in spring for their universities. So it's going to be a much different roster than we will see. I know, Gage, you were talking about you were looking at the preview and noticed there wasn't a whole lot.
there's really not much for their roster right now, other than a few returning players they've announced on their Instagram, which it does look like a lot of the guys they're bringing back are players with quite a bit of experience for them, as well as some pretty good international transfers for USL2 sides. I think they just signed a goalkeeper with a little bit of pro experience, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Nice, yeah. So again, these USL2 teams somehow always make it work. I mean, you look at like a Vermont Green, somebody like that. Like you always think, oh, these are completely new rosters, but a lot of the times they make it work. USL2 does a good job. Uh, One thing I wanted to point out, I mean, really solid fan base. I'm not going to say I was a Little Rock Rangers expert before kind of just doing basic research before this one. But their attendance record is around 8K in 2023, which is very impressive. And this is where I didn't know if you knew more about this. I couldn't really find much. They didn't play a qualifying round, which is one of the few ones. So they just directly qualified for this, which for a semi pro team, I think is very tough. Do you know anything about that? I couldn't really find a ton.
My only thing on that would be maybe they were one of, because I know there were a few USL2 sides that from their individual regions all just qualified automatically. Like if I'm not mistaken, obviously Vermont Green got through that way, but then there's also
True.
some where like Ballard didn't get through based off of that. So I'm not 100% certain on that one.
Yeah, maybe it's some, I don't know, head to head. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's Little Rock Rangers with a lot of these semi pro teams, it's tough because they haven't played and they're gonna have pretty much fully new rosters. Obviously, this team has a few coming back, but any notes you have, I mean, just being closer in the region, just on the club in general, I get we're not gonna have the most tactical breakdown of a semi pro team. But yeah, anything you have to add?
Right. Now, I've heard really, really good things about their fan base. It looks like they had a pretty decent USL League Two campaign this last year. Only one loss on the season up until the playoffs. There were two draws in there, but the rest were wins. Everything I've heard from people in the Arkansas areas, they just like you said, they've got really, really strong support. If you are watching this and you've not been familiar with them in the past, you need to go back and watch their upset over Birmingham from last year. The crowd was insane at it for the full 90. Obviously, they're no strangers to upsets over a championship side, so hoping we're not on the receiving end of that. But
Exactly. So speaking of that, we will move over to FC Tulsa. Now, this is your bread and butter. This is your, as you see, wearing. I'm also repping. You got this here. I was like an honorary fan, still am, but it's what's it called? Tulsa. If we're being real, championship side having a somewhat slow start to the year again, very early on the road to Sacramento is nothing. I mean, it's a home opener. You're trying to gel with new players. You go on the road to Sacramento, 2-0. And I think you were even telling me, we were talking after the match, could have been a lot worse. But 2-0, again, no shame in losing to Sacramento on the road. And then A 0-0 at home to San Antonio. Really quality side in San Antonio, but again, home opener, Western Conference champs. You'd like to at least see a little bit more action there,
Right.
and try and go for three. But what have been your thoughts just on the start of the season? You've obviously watched a lot more than me. Just what have you seen from FC Tulsa so far?
Yeah, unfortunately, my only experience seeing them in person so far this season was our second to last preseason match when we played against Missouri State. And it does seem that we do have good cohesion with the new signings in the midfield, and obviously the defense is still exactly the same as it was the year before. I mean, we have a plethora of players who everybody has started or played in at least 10 matches for us. I think everyone in that back line, with the exception of the new almost a new hire, but new player Alonzo Clark. I think right now our problem is just we're missing Taylor Calhera maybe a little bit more than we were expecting to. The front line and attack is honestly just not having the chemistry. I think that will come later in the season. We're just definitely struggling out of the starting gates because even that preseason game I went to, I don't even think Bruno Lapa was in the lineup yet. We hadn't signed Nelson Pierre yet. I think it was in the works, but we hadn't officially signed it. So, I mean, that's even two or three players up top that just had not played with us up to that point that are now suddenly getting thrown in to start a campaign. So, I'm sure it'll be fine as we get going. Right now, it's just goals need to come and they need to come quickly. So, hoping Wednesday is a good starting point for us.
And one thing I know we had talked about it, and this is not a knock on him as a player at all. It's just he was a super sub last year. Lukic, I don't know, did he start against San Antonio as well?
I believe he started on the bench, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. I can look that
Apologies,
up.
I was on the
Yep.
road literally the entirety of the weekend, so I missed the match and have not gone back to watch yet. But
Yeah, he was at 64th minute. Yeah. So he came on
gotcha.
64th. But I think we were saying he was starting in the first game, I'm assuming,
Yep.
to Sacramento. He's one of those guys up top, where it's just, this is no knock on him as a player. I mean, we saw in person how electric he is. It's going to take some time for him to get more minutes and things like that
Right.
to mesh with that front line. So again, this could be a chance to do it, but this is always, and again, we're not going to know this until an hour or so before the match. With a just in general, even if you didn't have a match this weekend, the U.S. Open Cup is a lot of the times a chance when you're in this stage where you're the clearly superior opponent, just on paper. It's a really good opportunity early in the season to mesh and build depth and kind of
Hmm.
cohesion. But you could also see it as, hey, if you've been disappointing so far, there's a chance to get the starters one where they can pass around freely, and or at least more freely than they would against a championship side. How do you think? Again, you know the manager's mindset and stuff like this, just being around it a little bit more. Could you see this as one where not taking it lightly, so to speak, but they do rotate a guys like we might not see a Lukic or somebody like that? Like, how do you think they'll approach it? Or I guess a better question is, how has FC Tulsa approached it in the past?
I think we are probably going to see a bit of a mixture of some new blood, which again we've signed so many new guys that may just be no matter which way we go, you're going to see new faces on the field. That I know 2 seasons ago we had our loss to Tulsa Athletic in 2024. That was a match where we honestly I don't think took it as seriously as we maybe should have. We started a lot of guys that either were like new to the club or didn't have like the experience within the professional ranks just yet. And of course, we suffered that shock loss. This last year was a little bit harder to get more of a read when we played Tulsa Athletic again. When it came down to, we had so many new guys that again we're just trying to rotate them into the squad. So I imagine there'll probably be a lot of similar stuff there, where maybe we see some guys that do become starters in the future, but we just haven't integrated them into the squad fully just yet. So I am keeping an eye on. We may see a debut for. We do have a homegrown player from Oklahoma City, Zion Saranga, that we may see this weekend. Hoping he gets at least some minutes, but that's just a feel good story for the Oklahoma fans for sure.
No, definitely, yeah. And I think part of it, yeah, is just like we were saying. It's with Vegas this upcoming weekend. Again, sure, Vegas has some great fans, all this stuff. It's Vegas is a team at home, if you're the Western Conference champ, that you have to be getting 3 points against. And I do think that
Mm-hmm.
there's a chance they maybe rotate. Not saying like this, like I have any insider info or any real insight, but just from kind of USL championship track records. But all right, this is kind of the fun or really not fun part, depending on how you look at it. Prediction wise, these are always really tough because we don't really have any, if not, I mean, just a little bit of a sample size of the semi pro team. I would like to think from the Tulsa perspective that this is a like a get right game, as you would say in college football or really anywhere. I see this not ever. I don't see it being a blowout because I do think that Tulsa is going to rotate significantly, especially with Vegas on the weekend. You got to have your main guys at least maybe getting 30 minutes off the bench, maybe starting at half, things like that. But I guess again, not like we're experts here on semi-pro soccer and things like that, but I would say like a 2-1 FC Tulsa. I do think that maybe if they're mixing up and giving that back line a rest, they're such a pillar of that team that if you're taking those guys out, again, I really think the prediction and the result is going to depend on which back line we see. And I do think we see a pretty much full makeshift back line because you need depth too. One of these guys goes down, and it's you need a guy that's competent enough to step in. So
Yep.
again, Tulsa's strength is defense. I do think that they maybe allow one just with a fully like line change for a hockey term of a defense. But again, they could still start their starters, and this is all iffy. We're recording this the day before. It'd be nice to record this while we have lineups. But I'll
Right.
go 3-1, 2-1 to Tulsa. How about you?
I I don't see us conceding personally. That may just be, the copium and the hopium and the hope that kills you and all that. But I feel like this is going to be one where we finally get out the gates. No disrespect to Little Rock at all. I see this being a 2-0. Just again, playing off the fact that they really, in their only matches I've seen from them this calendar year so far, their preseason games, it really seems like they're kind of struggling to go forward. So I'm hoping that kind of plays into our defense of getting the backups that we have. Our full lineup just feels very strong, top to bottom in the D core. So again, it's going to be a roll of the dice of who we actually see. I see it as definitely a 2-0. If they get one, hopefully we get one to even it up, make it 3-1. But we'll see. That's kind of where I'm at.
There we go. All right. Well, there you have it. That's been our preview. Anything you want to plug, whether it's Resistance or Scissortail or anything like that, now's your chance. Not like I have the biggest platform here, but
Hey, that's fair. We're all getting there. Yeah, I have Resistance Indoor Percussion, which is a percussion organization I work for here in Oklahoma. Feel free to check us out on YouTube. We'll have some videos of our show this year coming up here pretty soon. And obviously, Scissortail Shirts. I talk about jerseys and travels and stuff like that, which I'm hoping to do my first match vlog for this match itself. So keep an eye on my YouTube for that.
yep. So keep an eye out. Makes great content, especially hopefully with the U.S. Open Cup as well with that travel. So safe travels tomorrow on the way. And that's been our preview. So it'll be Little Rock Rangers hosting FC Tulsa, a USL 2 versus USL Championship battle, March 18th, Wednesday at 7 p.m. local time, Central Time. So that's been our preview. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, man, appreciate it.